Okay, so this is a little video segment on how to shower or bathe a horse in cold weather. And I never wrote it. I started it however many years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but I never wrote the article. So we're not going to actually do a video of the showering and the bathing, but I want to show you guys what to do with how to keep the horse warm if you have to shower or bathe in the winter. So we really would rather not. Please don't if you don't have to. Don't shower or bathe your horse in cold weather if you don't have to. Obviously, if you do have to, in an indoor, in the inside wash rack where it's warmer and obviously warm water. But if you don't have to get them wet in the winter is even better. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to utilize quartering. Okay, so quartering you do with coolers. So you're just going to have the horse fully encased in coolers, and I put on here to see how many coolers I actually have. You can't have too many coolers really, and eventually they'll get shredded. Like this green one is shredded. I don't know if you can see, but they shred eventually. Eventually what happens is you put the horse in their bedroom to dry, and the horse rolls in them. They get ruined, which is totally fine. They still work. So lots of coolers in all different shapes and sizes. We will use a lot of the coolers for quartering for cold weather bathing or showering. I like the polar fleece the most. Let's talk about that for a moment. Wool is hot, and I mean hot, and wool is heavy. So wool if you're in Colorado, wool if there's snow coming out of the sky. But in California where it's pretty temperate, I like polar fleece. I like the way polar fleece keeps them warm and wicks the moisture away from them. And the polar fleece is really actually very cool because it'll actually, after you're done, the wetness will be sitting on the top of the polar fleece. It will have pulled it off of the horse and stuck it on the top. So here is a brand new cooler that was donated to me. Let's move him over a little. This is Justice. So Justice, where are you going? So Justice is our model. Justice has never been in these cross ties. So Anna's probably going to want to move over here because now we're going to be focused on Justice. So you guys all know about Justice. He's one of our sale horses. And he's probably never been in these cross ties, so he's kind of like, what the heck is going on here? So this also, this is also going to end up being a segment on coolers. Clearly, this is becoming a segment on coolers as well. So I love these coolers. They come from Schneider's. I love any of the blanket products from Schneider's. Schneider's, sstack.com, Schneider's. It's an online tack store, mostly Western. Excuse me, buddy. They have to be okay with that kind of thing, so if it ends up just sort of all over the place, that's totally fine. These are my favorites. They cover their neck. They're made out of polar fleece. Obviously, if your horse isn't used to coolers, you got to get them used to coolers, They got to be okay about it. But these are really quite wonderful. They have the straps, the neck straps to keep them nice and warm, and then they have the belly. Can you see that, or are you too close? You can see that. So, and of course my favorite color. And you can monogram them if you want, but they get ruined so quick, it's almost pointless to do. Okay, so we're going to throw that one on him. And then let's just say we throw this one on him. So this is what I call an old-fashioned type of cooler. It's just a big, enormous square. This is all we used to have in the olden days. We didn't have the contour coolers. We certainly didn't have coolers that went over their necks. Doesn't this make you look, doesn't it remind you of the boxers? The boxers that come out and they've got their robes, their kind of satin robes over their shorts. Ow, before they start boxing. Oh, don't eat my hair. Ew. Anyway, that reminds me of that. So this is the newfangled, new style. They're contour. You can get them with back leg straps, which is fabulous. I love the ones with back leg straps in case you do need to put them in their bedrooms and they roll. And then this neck. Now, I'll show you after. So this is the old-fashioned kind. This is the kind we used to have. And you just have to acclimate the horses to being okay with you throwing coolers over their backs. They have to be all right with that. they'll get used to it. But see how these guys work? They're just big squares. And then they have ties in front to keep it from slipping back. You can just tie them, right? This is very sort of old style. And then they all have this band that goes over their ears. Anna, can you see that? Or is he too far back? See that? The horses don't like them. I don't put them over their foreheads. You'll see this one has one as well. Let's see. This one has, yeah, this one has one as well. This has a Velcro strap that attaches to the halter, okay, to help keep the blankets from shifting back. So this one has a Velcro that attaches to the halter. This one has the old-fashioned kind that went over their foreheads, like so. Your horses just have to be okay with this stuff. They get used to it, like so, but the horses don't really like it. So I rarely do it. I usually do that, okay? And then I tie them here. Now, great little tip is you can buy stretchy singles for the blankets, and they're wonderful. I love them, and they're like this wide. I know, you're sweet. They're like this wide, and they've got a little hook, right? And they go around the middle, and you hook them, and they're fabulous. And they keep the coolers in place. All right. However, the poor man's version. So any wrap. So any track wrap, any polo wrap, pretty much all of you have wraps somewhere in your barn, either for wrapping the horses or for injuries or whatever it is. Grab a wrap. They're really awesome. And just tie it on. And we all do this. Even if you go in the show barns, you're going to see horses in coolers with the track wrap used as a surcingle. And it's fabulous, and it keeps it from shifting, and it keeps it in place, and then you can tie it up in front to make sure it doesn't shift back, and there you go. Coolers 101. All right? Now that we have the coolers on, I want to talk about quartering. So say you have a Lipizzaner, you have a gray horse, and you have a winter show, and the darn thing's filthy, and you have to bathe them, all right, or you have to shower them. Really, with the white horses, with the gray horses, you probably have to bathe the darn things. You want to do it in quarters, all right? So I already showed you, if you can, please use warm water. You squirt the shampoo into the bucket. It'll make it all sudsy, all right? And then you quarter the horse. So you do a section at a time. It's called quartering, all right? So you would pull the blankets back, and you would wash his neck and the front of his shoulder and his front legs, and you would get that done, all right? Then you might quarter back a little further, and then you might do his barrel, do this section, bathed, shampooed, washed, scraped, right? Scrape the water off, done. They're still warm here, okay? So that's done. Now, guess what? You keep this part warm. So then you pull your coolers up. Horsey's all toasty warm. If you want to add a third cooler, it's fine. Just pile them on. Pile the coolers on. It's totally okay. Layer them, all right? That can hang there if it wants. You strap them all up here. Hello, buddy. He thinks this is funny. Doesn't really understand what the point is. Oh, and this cooler is on inside out. Not that we would ever know. Okay, so both sides, obviously. So his neck's already shampoo bathed. His midsection's already shampoo bathed. Done. Scraped off. Done. Now that part's keeping him nice and warm, right? And then you just quarter the hind end. So you just roll this up, right? Your horsey's still nice and warm up there. And you do, and your horsey doesn't walk away. Come on, you look like a prize fighter. He looks like Rocky. Da-da, da-da-da. You look like Rocky. Look at you go. So, now that part's staying warm. Do this whole part. Get this whole part done. Get his legs done. cover him back up, and you can always add another layer of cooler. Perfectly okay. Uh-oh. And so then if you want to add another layer of cooler, fine, and then you can do his tail. And so now he's all warm and cozy. Do his tail, make his tail all clean and gorgeous, pretend he's white, pretend he's lip on, or he desperately needed a serious shampooing. Shampoo the heck out of the tail, condition the heck out of the tail, show sheen the heck out of the tail, and then this. And then, like I said, if you want to add another layer, I've got 2 other coolers hanging there. If you want to add another layer, add another layer. Scoochie your body over. Good boy, stay full. I know he's dirty. It's been raining. He's been standing in the mud. All right, so now what do? Okay, so now, rule of thumb. If you can still see steam coming up off of them, keep adding layers of coolers. You want to hold the steam in their body. You don't want the heat escaping their body. So add another layer of cooler if you need to. Then they get to hang out and you don't want them to roll. So I have a ring in the stall where I can tie him, where if he was wet and I didn't want him to roll, I can tie him in his bedroom, or you can leave him in the cross ties, or whatever your barn, whatever system your barn has. You don't want them rolling at this point. And close the surcingle. So what Anna asked was at what point do we do the face? So you can do the face whenever you like. You can do the face first, or you can do the face last. It's the same in the summer when you're showering horses and you're taking the sweat off of the horse. You can do their face first or last. Remember, always sponge off their faces. The articles I have written have asked you to please sponge their faces off. But you can sponge them off first or last, it doesn't matter, or during, it doesn't matter, you decide. Be really, really careful with shampoo on their faces. Really make sure that the shampoo is well diluted and that you don't let it get in their ears or their eyes, and really make sure you rinse it well so that you don't leave any shampoo on their faces. I pretty much never shampoo their faces. I usually just use water, use warm water. Okay. Okay, so here we're done, right? He's been quartered. There's no steam coming off of him. He's standing in the cross ties or in his bedroom tied so he doesn't roll. You don't want them to roll in all these coolers. And then what do? Well, you check them every, 20 minutes. And you start taking off the layers, all right? So say he's got a 3rd layer on. Pull that one. Let him hang out in 2. Then when he stops steaming and he's starting to dry, you might pull this one. And then he's just hanging out in 1, right? So what you're doing is you're gradually acclimating him back to the cold without taking a chance of him catching a chill, all right? So now we're down to 1 cooler, and say he's almost all the way dry. Say he's 3/4 of the way dry, right? Well, there's a couple things you can do now. It's a little tricky if you have to leave the barn. That gets a little tricky at this point. So, but you can actually add a sheet over the top of the cooler. You can. So if you've got a waterproof sheet or a waterproof blanket and you got to go, it's the end of the day and you got to get home to make dinner for your children. Excuse me. Hey. Over. Boy. You can, it is okay to put a sheet or a blanket over the cooler and let them sleep that way. We prefer not to do that, but you can do that. The other thing, if the surcingle was still on, so if he's just getting finished being drying and the surcingle's on properly, you can go to this phase also, right? And leave him tied up like that. Let the neck start acclimating to the cold, all right? So say you've hung out long enough and he's dry and clean and dry, just pull the last cooler and throw on your sheet or blanket. And there it is. That's the Good beauty. Beauty boy. Good boy. Oh, Dan. And there it is. So that morphed into a video, an educational video about coolers. It just morphed into that. But it covers both showering or bathing in cold water, using the coolers to quarter. Ooh. And also morphed into a video about coolers. And I'm standing here because, on purpose, because I kind of want to see if he's willing to bump me with his booty. But he's a good boy and he's not. So he's seeing me as a barrier and he's stopping from bumping into me. Obviously, you guys, make sure your horses are okay with the coolers. You gotta throw them on, throw them off, throw them on, throw them off, throw them on, throw them off, slip them off the side, slip them off the back. They gotta be like so humdum, I don't give a darn. That's what I was wondering if he was gonna do. Good boy. We're kind of training at the same time. Good boy. And I think that's it. So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.